Whatever you do, never pause K-pop Demon Hunters while you're watching it because you won't like what you see. You might think I'm making too much fuss about something little, but believe me, every time you pause to go take a pee or something, you will see a mistake that will ruin the movie for you. In this video, we'll be running through every single one of those mistakes. From Mira jumping through objects like a ghost to the whole movie plot being foolish because of a simple mistake, down to a mistake that happened the first time Rumi and Jinu ran into each other, but we were too busy being romantic that we didn't notice something crazy happened. But all that doesn't even get close to the most hilarious mistake of all, which I will reveal at the end of the video. So stay tuned. Like and subscribe, and I'll show you things that will make your eyes pop. Let us start with one of the most jaw-dropping mistakes of all time in the movie. It's one of those scenes that hits you like a brick. Rumi was preparing for their performance of Golden after its release. I was watching my movie in peace, seeing Rumi get dressed. I just wanted to grab some water from the fridge, but when I paused the movie and turned away, I was like, nah, that isn't right. I looked closely and I saw an X-strap design under Rumi's jacket, which isn't possible. Like I said, I watched her get dressed and Rumi didn't pick up or put on any X-strap throughout the time she was getting dressed. So the design just came out of nowhere? I mean, if you're going to make a mistake, at least let it be in a scene where a lot of things are going on, not a scene where the mistake happens on the only person or thing that our eyes are focused on. We're just getting started. Let's dig deeper. At number 2, we have one of the craziest mistakes that doesn't hit you immediately. But after a few seconds, you will be like, wait a minute. That was what happened in that airplane scene at the beginning of the movie. When Rumi called all the demons in the plane to come out, and we saw a demon come out of the cockpit, it seemed normal at first. But just as I was about to look away for a second to pick out some chips, that was when I was like, something isn't right. So when I paused the movie, I looked closely and it just hit me. This demon was flying the plane. I don't think you understand how impossible that is. A demon didn't know something as simple as watering plants with water, but I'm supposed to just go along with the fact that a demon can fly a plane? It just doesn't work. And that's not the only thing that doesn't work in that scene. About a minute before the girls confronted the demons, Rumi got a call from Bobby. And just before Rumi answered the call, there was a mistake that was so obvious. And what's funny about this mistake is that it wasn't necessary. Nothing needed to be there on Rumi's phone screen when Bobby called other than Bobby's name, picture, and the options to answer or end the call. But somehow, we saw something else on that screen, something that shouldn't be there. Bobby's call was counting before it was picked up. It had counted to 3 seconds. Why even bother to make a mistake when all you had to do was leave it alone? The list only gets worse from here. So after Rumi choked during her rehearsal for Golden with the rest of the girls, she ran into a restroom. And it was in that restroom that the 4th mistake happened. I'm sure we all remember how Rumi burst into the restroom and unzipped her shirt. We all saw her zip. It was all good and intact. But after she unzipped the shirt, the zip pendant completely disappeared. And mind you, this wasn't some subtle zipper pendant that no one will pay attention to. This pendant was shaped like a star and was made of gold. So yeah, you can be sure that it caught the eyes of everyone watching the scene. So you can imagine my surprise when the zip pendant just disappeared. But it doesn't stay missing. The pendant appears a few seconds later when she runs out of the restroom. Come on, people. It's like they are not even trying to hide the carelessness in the movie. And that really shows in the 5th mistake. I'm sure we all love our Pookie Bobby, which is why it really annoys me that they would make such a mistake on him. What mistake am I talking about? I mean, Bobby's scenes are perfect. Well, they are almost perfect because this mistake came and ruined things. So you know how he came into the girls' apartment to tell them that Golden had been released? We saw him wearing a bathrobe, and under that bathrobe, he wore a white shirt that had the Huntrix logo on it. And to be honest, I was really excited about seeing that logo. But you should have seen the disappointment on my face when he took off his bathrobe and a white shirt that had a purple logo design was now plain white. Are you trying to tell me that he took off the logo as well? That's a very silly mistake that doesn't sit well with me in any way. But what can I do about it? Speaking of things that don't sit well with me, you should have seen my reaction when I noticed a mistake with Jinu. I nearly screamed my lungs out. So I was sitting on my couch watching the scene where the girls ran into the Saja boys for the first time. And I must say, I get it. If you don't know what I am talking about, go watch that scene again. Those boys were physically glowing. I would have mistaken them for angels. Haha, isn't that ironic? Anyways, if you look at our dear boy Jinu in that scene, he wasn't wearing any jewelry. All that glow you saw from him in that scene was all natural. But can you imagine my surprise when I suddenly saw bling on his neck? What am I talking about? Well, when he started performing Soda Pop, he was suddenly wearing a diamond chain on his neck. A real ice on my neck situation. Where did the necklace come from? So many questions that go unanswered. While we are on the topic of unanswered questions, here's one mistake that raised questions that were never answered. For us to talk about this mistake, we are going to talk about a random fan. This fan appeared a handful of times towards the end of the movie, and you'll never guess the shirt this guy was wearing. It wasn't a Huntrix t-shirt, and it wasn't even a Saja Boys t-shirt. Oh no, it was a Guima t-shirt. Of all the merch in the world, you're telling me that this guy wasn't able to find one about a group or person that actually existed? Which begs the question, how did he know about the King of Demons when humans don't even know about demons? Humans can't even see demons, and I'm supposed to just be okay with the fact that a random fan knew about Guima? That's the sort of mistake that gets people fired. And if any of the people in charge of this movie watch this video, I can bet that some of the animators might be dropped from the coming sequel. While I was talking about mistakes that could get people fired, I thought about this one, and I must say that it is very funny. It is that kind of mistake that your employer would fire you for, and yet somehow your friends wouldn't be able to stop laughing at it. For us to see this mistake, we have to go back to when the boys performed Soda Pop. Just as they were about to round up their performance, we see one shot that I've been replaying in my head non-stop. The Saja boys' legs did something that will never not be funny. Imagine that you tied a thread to a broomstick and climbed to the top of a mountain where the wind blows with chaotic power. You see how the wind blows that thread? That's exactly how the Saja boys' legs were moving. It was complete chaos, and it was funny. I almost coughed up the saliva I was trying to swallow when I watched that scene. Anyways, moving on to number 9. This one is about our dear Zoe. I know you're shocked that those guys made a mistake on Zoe. Well, yeah, they did. Everyone gets a mistake in this movie, even random fans. So, do you remember the flashbacks at the beginning of the movie? We saw Zoe in school while she was in America, and in the scene we saw her, she was listening to music and writing song lyrics. Even at that age, the young lady already had a lot of Zoe's lyric books. Now, if you can just look past the book she was writing in, you will notice that she had the word demon written on the cover of one of her books. The letter O was crossed out, as though she had put a target on demons and was taking them out. Zoe didn't know about demons at that time. She hadn't joined the demon hunters, and she wasn't a member of Huntrix. So what sort of carelessness would make the animators put the future in the past? I mean, is K-pop Demon Hunters now a time travel movie? Well, if you're worried about K-pop Demon Hunters wanting to be a science fiction movie, well, brace yourself, because you won't believe what the 10th mistake is. I'll give you a hint. It's like two characters teleported. Yeah, I was looking at them one second, and the next, they were somewhere that just wasn't physically possible unless you have a teleportation device or you're a witch. The characters involved are none other than Zoe and Mira. So these girls had a brief quarrel outside the arena where the Saja boys were holding their show. You would expect that since they were together outside the arena, they would be around each other when they get into the arena. But that was not the case, because when they got into the arena, we saw Zoe and Mira standing on opposite sides of the arena. It is like they mysteriously teleport to different sides of the arena. But it doesn't even stop there. When Rumi came into the arena, the girls, who were both high up in their arena, were suddenly closer to the floor. I am completely speechless right now, but at least we can understand the technical difficulty of making that scene. But the next mistake is just full-blown madness. Just how big of a mistake could number 11 be for me to call it a full-blown madness? Well, just you wait, you'll see. Let's go back to the performance of Soda Pop by the Saja boys. That sequence has so many mistakes, but other than the wiggly legs, the other mistake that will make you choke on your own saliva because of surprise is this mistake. It happened while the Saja boys were handing out gifts to their audience. This mistake is the perfect example of you will regret it if you pause it. So in the scene where all the Saja boys slide past a group of children and give them gifts, you will see the most surprising thing if you pause that scene. I strongly recommend that you don't even pause it because it'll ruin your day, especially if you're eating. Haha, I've been teasing you long enough. I'll just come out and say what you will see. Abby's butt crack. Yup, that is what you will see. His butt crack. So if you do not have the stomach for that, I strongly recommend that you do not take a look. Moving on. At number 12, I have a secret that makes the whole storyline of the movie completely useless. So what's the evil plan that our so-called Saja boys came up with to get more souls for Guima and defeat Huntrix? It was simple. Steal the fans. And they went through the hard work of forming a boy band and competing in the Idol Awards. And yeah, that's all fine and cool, but what a lot of you might not know is that it is just unnecessary. What do I mean? Well, we learned that demons have the ability to shapeshift, which means they can turn to anyone, act like them, and talk like them. We saw that during the Idol Awards performance. So if demons could shapeshift all this time, why didn't they just shapeshift to look like Huntrix and perform like them? If they did that, they would have stolen the souls of all the Huntrix fans, which we know is a lot because those girls were topping everything. Like I said, it's a mistake that makes the plot of the movie senseless. Up next is another mistake that makes even less sense. I'm sure we all saw the girls eating at the beginning of the movie, you know, on the plane. They were carb loading, and I must say that was one of the funniest situations in that entire movie. We saw those girls eat in one sitting what I do in a week. I mean, I get it, all that fighting and performing can really take its toll, so you need all the energy you can get. The way they were chunking the food in was very funny to watch. I guess that's why the movie makers honestly thought that it was okay to make a mistake there. They thought we would not notice. We saw how the girls ran through an entire tray of kimbap. We saw Rumi swallow a long roll. We all saw the tray get empty. But after a few seconds, the tray was suddenly filled with kimbap again. Like, where did it come from? Are we now conjuring food like weapons? Okay, Kareem, breathe. Just breathe. Still on the plane scene, we heard the girls planning for the show, and they said that it would be their biggest show, and we could see the arena where the show was being held. My God, it was packed. I think that arena held at least 80,000 fans. So the biggest show part was well proven. But they then said that it would be their show with the most songs. Now, that's where the mistake existed. We all saw that the girls sang only How It's Done, and they didn't even perform the whole song in the arena. By the time they got to the arena, they were already half done with the song. So, girls, that was a major mistake. On to the 15th mistake. This mistake is just one question, and I want you to answer the question without any BS. How did demons know the lyrics of Takedown during the Idol Awards performance? They had been rehearsing that song for a while, but only within themselves. If you tell me that demons stole Zoe's lyrics book, then they would know only the words. You can see the words and still not know how a song is sung. But they also knew the rhythm and the dance routine. That shouldn't have happened, but it did. The demons couldn't have known about every detail about the song and performing it, and that was a huge mistake by the production team. But it's nowhere close to the most hilarious mistake I promised you guys, so let's keep going. This next mistake took place in the arena where the Saja boys performed Your Idol. We saw Rumi walk into the arena looking like the main villain of the movie, but as she began to sing and walk forward, I noticed something. She was wearing 3 earrings on one ear. Very beautiful things, but all of a sudden the earrings disappeared, like poof. Where did they go? Were they having cold feet because of the intense fight Rumi was about to get into? Well, I don't think that is the case because the earrings came back a few seconds after. It's almost like the animators didn't know how to handle an earring. And that's not the only time jewelry was jumping all over the place. During the fan signing with the Saja boys, Rumi's jewelry was jumping all over the place again. We saw this when she was standing aside and the Saja boys were leaving the place. I saw it very clearly because she had only one earring, not one pair, just one, which was on her right ear. And right in front of us, the earring jumped from her right to left ear. I was beyond shocked. The 18th mistake is what happens when animators are not paying attention to their work and their supervisors aren't doing their jobs. Remember that scene backstage at the Idol Awards? The girls were waiting for their turn to perform, and Mira was blowing off her steam with a punching bag. The bag had a picture of Abby's abs on it, and the first time we saw the picture, it was huge and covered almost the whole punching bag. But after Bobby ran in to tell them that it was their turn to perform, the picture shrank and looked as small as a small notebook. Crazy shrink, right? Well, this mistake wasn't just a shrink. They completely destroyed everything we knew about continuing a scene in movies. Because why else would Jinu rip off Rumi's sleep in the bathhouse fight? Like the rip was so big that we could all see through it. But when she pinned him down, the rip suddenly disappeared. Then it reappeared when the filmmakers wanted Jinu to look through the rip and see her demon markings. Come on guys, that's not cool. Remember when I said that K-pop Demon Hunters wants to become a science fiction movie? Well, this mistake just proves my point even more. It's like they don't know the direction they want to follow. This mistake took place in the scene where the girls decided that they would write a diss track against the Saja boys. Everybody was so pumped, so they all ran out of the living room to get to work. While Mira was running out, she ran over a couch, but the truth is that she didn't completely go over. One of her legs went through the couch. Let that sink in. She walked through the couch like Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I don't know about you, but phasing through couches isn't normal. Taking a look at one more mistake before we hit the final. Now, it's clear that the whole movie has a continuity problem. 1 second we're looking at something and the next it disappears, or the other way around. But this particular mistake was in our faces. It didn't happen in the background. Oh no, it was the main event. In that scene where the girls see the Saja boys for the first time, Abby's buttons all shoot off because he was showing off his abs. After that, I expected to be seeing Abby leave with an open shirt, but that's not the case. Barely seconds later, the buttons were back already, and his shirt was well buttoned up throughout the time he was performing Soda Pop with his group. These guys never seem to run out of mistakes. And sure, the list has been really fun, but sadly, there's just one mistake to check out. And to me, it is the absolute funniest and most careless of all. You're going to have to pay serious attention to this mistake because it has a lot of details. First, we saw the girls practicing their routine in an empty stadium. Rumi still wasn't liking the lyrics, and Mira told her that they couldn't change it even if they wanted to because the Idol Awards were taking place tomorrow. And that all happened early in the morning. The battle on the train takes place later that same morning or in the afternoon. That night, Rumi meets Jinu. They sing Free together, and Jinu says he'll make sure the Saja boys will lose tomorrow. It's clear that the awards are supposed to be the next day, but tomorrow comes and we see the girls in the morning talking in their living room. Rumi tells the girls she knows they can win tomorrow. Wait a minute, don't you mean tonight? It's like the characters in the movie don't even know what's going on in their own movie. Anyways, that's all for today. Leave your thoughts in the comments and I'll see you next time. Bye.